life, it can be very hard to simply stop what you're doing because you may feel like it's wasted time on your personal journey. And instead of stopping, many of us forget that we can take time to pause to recollect ourselves. With everything a speaker has to consider in order to deliver a successful talk, oftentimes there's an urge to provide way too much information. We develop these ideas and want to get them out to the public and make an impact as soon as possible. But when a time limit comes into play, and it almost always will, it adds pressure that most speakers become used to, but even then they can still say too much. So for example, if you're speaking for 45 minutes, you might first think, how are you going to make it through? If you're speaking for 20 minutes, it may start to look more manageable. But if you're speaking for 10 minutes or less, you can't waste one single word. The pressure to make sure you get all of your ideas out can build up, and that's where too much information is provided and combined with filler words. The way to combat this from happening is to recognize and make use of the power of the pause. Most people speak at an average of 4 to 5 syllables per second. That's a real specific breakdown, but for generic purposes, let's say that the average person speaks anywhere from approximately 100 to 130 words per minute. With those numbers in mind, take a second to think about that in combination with all the pressure that comes along with talking in front of people. There has to be some breathing room somewhere, right? When you pause, it gives you time to collect yourself when information may get too heavy. At the same time, it helps lower the likelihood that you'll forget your speaking points. I'm not saying that you'll remember every single thing you want to say, but there shouldn't be too much room for you to forget. One of the most important things that pausing allows you to do is read the room. Feel the energy or lack thereof, which can in return allow you to make in-game adjustments. When you're speaking for long periods of time, it may not go exactly how you plan, so adjusting on the fly is very, very crucial. Not to mention those points that you really want to make evident. If you pause after stating them, it makes those points way more memorable. Some of your audience will be in the know, and then some will be new to the information that you're giving them. You may not be able to ask questions to each individual person in the moment to make sure that they aren't lost, but what you can do is do your best to make sure that they are constantly digesting the information. Pausing helps your audience because it gives them time to think on what you're saying. Think about it. If you're constantly talking, then they have to think about what it is that you're saying and keep up with the new information you're giving them. Some may be able to do this, but there will be also some that aren't great at multitasking like that. So yes, you may be able to follow up with them after the event through email list or something else, but while in the moment, pausing will help ensure that you aren't drilling them with way too much information at once. Ultimately, you want your audience to be able to take in your information, and this is the one way in which you can do it. From your audience's perspective, when you incorporate a pause, it helps tone down the fact that you may be nervous. It's okay to be nervous, but oftentimes more than not, we try to disguise it through talking fast or using crutch words. It can be awkward at first, but pausing is the best substitute. Every time you end a sentence, most people automatically pause. It may be only for a fraction of a second, but it's there. And we're talking about pauses right now that may be a little bit longer, and the silence that comes with that can spark a speaker's anxiety. It's in those moments that you realize that you truly do have everybody's undivided attention. And sometimes you need to be reminded of that. So to start practicing, the next time you're giving one of your talks and you make a crucial point, try pausing right after you state it. Check the energy in the room. Look at the various facial expressions in that very moment. It will help you realize that if you're on the right path or if you need to change things up in the moment. Ultimately, pausing helps you constantly adapt. If you found this tip useful, please like it and share it. Comment on it as well and let me know what you think. Until next Monday, my name is Julian Leonard, and this tip was brought to you by the J. Leonard Group.